Okay, so let's get started. So thank you very much for that introduction and for hosting this event once more because it's fantastic. As you said, my name is Paloma Benlloch and I work as IT Solutions Manager and Project Manager at Quorum Language Solutions in Madrid. Like I imagine many of you guys here today, I am one of those people that for many years is been always eager to learn more about technology and the latest trends and advances in our field of expertise. And because of that, I every year attend hundreds and dozens of congresses and trainings and conferences, eager to learn more and more. And after a while, the thing is that I've started to see a pattern emerge, and it is that out of these conferences, the ones that I remember the most are those that offer a case study type presentation. They're usually given by other smaller companies and offer a presentation about a very specific issue or how they tackle a certain problem in their company and how they've dealt with it. They tend to be less idealistic and closer to my own reality. They offer me attainable solutions that I can then take with me and then apply them to my own reality. All in all, when I go home and I get home after this presentation, so I think to myself, hey, I'm not alone in this. There's other people walking this same road with me. And because of that, we are here today. We want to offer that same feeling to other companies like us who are maybe feeling a bit alone or left behind or a bit lost when it comes to MT and PE. And that's why today we want to share how we did it, how we build a confidential and sensible MT-PE process that made sense for us. So with that in mind, let's get started. So this is our roadmap for today. We'll first introduce with our company and I'll give you a bit of context about who we are and what we do. Then I'll take you through our research through the world of MT, and then I'll finally show you our long-awaited answer. So we'll start with the easiest question of them all. Who are we? Well, Quorum is a medium-sized LSP based in Madrid, in Spain. We specialize in providing legal and financial translations for clients that are highly specialized in these fields. We offer efficient, high quality, highly specialized solutions in very tight deadlines. If I really had to summarize our company in 3 words, those words would be people, quality, and confidentiality. That is our magic formula. And that is the underlying mantra that is behind every single one of our processes. So now that you know a bit about us, let's meet our clients. Who are they? Well, they're big law firms, financial institutions, and large consulting firms. They are highly specialized, highly demanding. They work with high-stake issues, high-stake operations, and they want the best. They have high demands regarding the quality of the text they'll receive, and they work with very tight deadlines. Because of that, we must offer effective, flexible solutions that ensure quality and ensure confidentiality, and that because of the degree of specialization required, they need to be human-centered processes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I do not like technology. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It is fantastic. I'm just saying that we believe that technology alone is not enough, especially when it comes to translation in the legal field. We believe that it should be used alongside top experts, because when you put those two things together, the spaces that technology is leaving behind can be filled in, and the result is amazing. So that is our philosophy. But when you translate these ideas into an effective workflows, our everyday translation project looks a bit like this. I won't dwell on it too much because you can read it along as I explain, but I would like to drive your attention to the 3 little instances that we have highlighted in green, because I think they're very important to understanding our situation when it comes to MT. So first of all, file prep is key in our process. Approximately 95% of our projects require file preparation so that we can use CAD tools. In our case, we use Stratus Studio. These also means that most of our projects, after they're translated, go back into a TM. These TMs are specific to each client, and they are carefully maintained and curated so that they can profit from them in the future. This helps us ensure that the highest quality for each client is being achieved. And it's also very important in our field of work, because in the legal field, document versions and templates are our everyday life. So keeping finely curated TMs is the only way to ensure intratextual coherence between documents from the same client, and is also the only way to ensure that efficient translations that are customized to each client's specific needs and linguistic particularities are being delivered. So once we prep the project, we assign it to one of our specialists. We analyze each project and match it to the expert that best fits the project specialization or characteristics. This is very important in terms of quality, but also in terms of confidentiality. All our team members have signed an NDA and are bound by it from the very beginning of our collaboration. For us and for our clients, confidentiality is non-negotiable. So, since it's non-negotiable, we do not share files and TMs willy-nilly. We share them on a one-to-one basis. We do not batch assignments. It's very different to what other people find in other fields of expertise. And sometimes we even have to use extra steps regarding security, like using FTPs or end-to-end password-protected file sharing protocols, anonymization practices with our TMs and our bilingual files, whatever it takes, so that confidentiality is kept. And then finally, as I said, our system, our process is built on the idea that at the core of every project, we should have the human element of translation. And how do we translate this into actual steps of a working process? Well, basically, it means that after the files are translated by an experienced, specialized professional, each project is reviewed and QA'd by experienced human professionals as well. And this way, we ensure that the highest quality is achieved and that we are meeting our quality requirements to the best of our abilities. So within these grand scheme of things, my role as IT solutions manager is that of keeping track of the latest advances in regards to technology and state-of-the-art advances in our field, trends, so that I can correctly assist our clients, our in-house team, and our external team as well. So you can probably imagine what my research has been about for the last 5 years. If you're thinking AI and MT, you're absolutely right. So the thing is that in the last few years, we've seen that in a general spectrum of the translation market and in the localization market, there's been a general push for like MT and AI driven processes. But in our field of work, we're seeing a much different picture. And we wanted to know why. We wanted to know that, especially when we speak about the use of MT, because it seemed that in the legal field, MT was a bit behind as compared as how it was performing in other fields like localization or medical or technical fields. So what might be the reason behind this? Why wasn't MT fitting? Well, we believe that in our case, for our company, there are two main reasons. One is that the specificity of the legal language trumps MT, and the second one is our client portfolio. Firstly, most mainstream MTs out there struggle with the nature of legal text, especially with the complex operations we work with. Legal language has very specific structure, vocabulary, and syntax, and it cannot be compared to that is used in other fields. For example, in technical translations, one can find sentences that are clear, that are concise, that are unequivocal. In legal text, it's just the opposite. We find paragraph-long sentences, ambiguous structures, archaic wording, words with field-specific meanings, multiple in-text reference to other legal documents, regulation, to other documents from the same client. And sometimes we can even find all of these things in the same segment. Isn't it amazing? But this is just alone is enough to trump MT, but there's also another component that we think is key in understanding why MT is a bit behind. That is that the law in general is very closely intertwined with the culture in which it exists, meaning that in order to correctly translate certain ideas, one needs to know all the linguistic particularities regarding the text, but one must also understand the context, the circumstances, and basically the culture surrounding the issue. And at the moment, we believe that one can train AI and MT to learn the structures, the vocabulary, the syntax, even the complex ones. But it's still missing that extra step, that acculturation, if you will, that will make it be at the same level as MT is in other fields. So basically, the output that we were getting when we conducted our research wasn't cutting it. And then on the other hand of the spectrum, we have our client portfolio. Our clients we're not experiencing a decrease in the demand of conventional translation. The kind of clients we have are not demanding MT+PE processes, or at least not massively. And to be brutally honest, most of them don't even know that it exists as a professional service or what it entails. It's not a priority for them at the moment. So once you see this, you can understand why, for us, the picture was very different to the one other colleagues in our field, especially colleagues coming from localization companies and technical markets. They have a very different picture to the one we're seeing. However, and this is a big however, we do know that it's not always going to be like this. We know how the market works, and it shifts quite suddenly. So either you adapt or you perish. And we believe we are actually starting to see the beginning of that change. We have experienced that in the last few months, some junior employees at certain law firms are starting to use free access AI and MT engines to create and translate documents instead of writing them directly in the target language like they used to. This marks the beginning maybe of change for us, but also is very dangerous in terms of confidentiality because they're using free access engines and free access AI services. These dangers become quite evident the moment one reads the user's terms and conditions and the privacy policies of these services. Let me show you these three. Here you have, for example, 3 extracts from 3 very, very popular MT engines that are available out there. The moment one reads these extracts, it becomes evident that once you use their services, just by using them, the free versions, you agree to the usage and storage of all the content uploaded, as well as all the changes that you make to the output. This is used to train and retrain AI and to improve the machine. But the thing is, a vast majority of the users out there are not taking this into account, and therefore are inadvertently participating in an active breach of confidentiality. So as you can see, this is quite dangerous in our line of work. And in the spirit of tackling these potential data breaches and knowing that the market could change at any point, we decided that what we needed was to research the issue further and establish our own MT process, just in case, change was just around the corner. So before we started our research, we sat down and wrote what our MT process had to have in order for it to work. Our MT process had to respect our core values, go along with the general Quorum vibe, if you will. So we needed a process that ensured confidentiality, ensured quality, was effective and efficient, was still human-centered, and most importantly, we needed something that we could easily adapt into our current process, into our company. So we hit the books, in this case, the computer screens. We researched the options out there. We studied international standard 18587. We looked at how other companies were doing it. We looked at free access MT engines. We looked at third-party MT engines. We looked at evaluation methods. We left no stone unturned. And after 2.5 years of research, we arrived at the following conclusions. Well, first of all, most solutions out there are targeted to big companies. We are not Google or Amazon or RWS. We are a smaller company, and therefore our resources are smaller. So most solutions out there were expensive. We're targeted at providing hundreds of different languages when we really didn't need that much. We're targeted at big teams. And then when you try to size them down, it was hard for us to make it work the same way. It was difficult. Then confidentiality was also a big issue. As you saw before, we really had to read the fine print before we chose any single engine, because it was harder to ensure that it was being kept as we thought it would have been. And then thirdly, most processes out there seem to offer a combination of MT and then some sort of post-editing, either light post-editing or full post-editing. For our business model, light post-editing was out of the question, and full post-editing, just full post-editing, wasn't cutting it. It wasn't enough. So we needed something else. And then finally, the fourth conclusion that we arrived at was that most solutions out there seem to be quite tech-centered. In most processes that we studied, the MT engine carried out most of the load, while the role of the linguist kind of faded a bit into the background, which was not at all what we were looking for. So basically, nothing out there seemed to fit. So what were we going to do? Well, the answer is quite simple. If nothing out there seemed to fit our needs, we'd build our own system. We would construct a puzzle out of all the highlights of the research we conducted. We took the tidbits that worked, we added in what we needed, we put it all together in a way that made sense for us, and voila, the FQPE, the full quality post-editing process, was born. At last, something that worked for us. So the FQPE process looks a bit like this. The FQPE process, as you can see, looks a lot like our conventional translation process. And that is because we took our process and we customized it to fit MT. We didn't need a big solution. We needed a solution that worked for us. So I won't dwell on it a lot. I just wanted to highlight the main difference that are the points that I have highlighted in green. As you can see, the first step in our process is now carried out by an MT engine. However, if you remember from before, we said that MT and that TMs are very, very important for us. They're key in our process. MT does not supersede this statement, and therefore what we do is we use MT in a combination with MT. We use it in a combination that is specific to each project, and that makes sure that we use our materials and our resources in the most effective way. This means that, for example, if we have a project that we've translated a template for one of our clients before, what we do is we set up Studio so that it applies our TMs first, and only when no match or fuzzy match is found, and only then is MT applied. This way, we make sure that a clear hierarchy is established between the two materials, and this same hierarchy is passed down to a linguist so that the order of the material is clear, and that we make sure that instructions is clear, and that the post-edit text will have a quality that is comparable to one of our conventional translation process. This also helps us ensure that the post-edit text will be coherent and in line with previous versions of the documents. And of course, we can also use this new process with our existing term bases and glossaries if needed. We have therefore automated, if you will, this first step, but we still want that human factor to be what drives our process. And how do we achieve that? Well, simple. After the project is pre-translated, we pass it down to one of our experts, and our experts are still post-editors that are specializing in legal and financial translations, but that also have experience working with MT and post-editing. And once they complete their post-editing, they do a full post-editing process, our text will go through a quality assurance process by a second human linguist as well. This way we ensure the highest possible quality is achieved. We keep 2/3 of the process still human-centered, and then we make an automatic process manageable again. We make it anthropocentrical in a way that is controlled, so that it doesn't become so automatic that we can lose control over it at any point. So as you can see, also throughout the process, we carry out a couple evaluations just to make sure that the output the MT is generating is of good quality, and that the quality of the overall text of the overall project is good. And just finally, to pinpoint the last change we've done as compared to our conventional process is that of the MT+PE tagging when importing back into our TMs. So once the project is completed, our translations go back into a TM. However, we tag translations coming from MT+PE processes with a special tag, so that we can input that variable in future projects, meaning that in a future project, we could tell Studio to prioritize or penalize certain segments that come from MT+PE translations, depending on whether we want our linguists to re-review those segments, or if we just want them to take them at their face value. So that's the theory behind our process. But the big question is, what are the actual things in our process that help us make sure that we are making a process that is confidential and in line with our quality standards? Well, we've made sure that regarding quality, we've made sure that we have kept 66% of the processes still human-centered. We've established also a two-step evaluation system. The first evaluation is an automatic evaluation. We use post-editing modification analysis software. I know this sounds very fancy, but it's just a plugin that we got from the RWS store. It's called Post-Edit Compare, and it works amazingly. This plugin lets us know in a very visual way the total percentage of modifications that have been done to the MT output that we originally sent our post editor, as well as how they are distributed throughout the text. And then we also carry out a second evaluation. This one is a human evaluation that is carried out by our amazing QA team. And they use the same criteria they use for conventional translation. In our case, that is a total grade from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the greatest you can get. This human evaluation is a way to keep tabs on the general quality of the project. Also, it is a way to keep tabs on the work our post editors are doing. Is it a good post editing work? Is it not? And it is also a way to double check that first automatic evaluation, because when we researched the issue, we saw that most companies that were using an automatic evaluation, or just automatic evaluation, were getting a high percentage or a significant percentage of false positives. So by using a two-step evaluation system that combines automatic and human evaluations, we make sure that we have a fail-safe in place so that we can always keep tabs on the real quality of the project and adjust as we need. And then finally, regarding confidentiality, we found that the key for us is a combination of the already existing measures, such as NDAs, anonymization practices, file sharing protocols, in combinations with the use of a secure MT engine. We do not have our own engine, but we use a third-party one that is secure. By secure, we mean a licensed MT engine that ensures that quality and that ensures that confidentiality needs are being met. In our case, we use a Depot Pro Advanced license that assures end-to-end encryption, that also ensures that no content that we upload is being recorded, and that after the use, everything is deleted. Therefore, we leave no trace behind of the content we translate, and we leave no room for potential data breaches. So as you can see, these are the 4 key elements that make the process work for us. It's simple, but it works. And we could keep going and all day back and forth and getting into more specific details and examples and technicalities and more technology and fine print. And believe me, I can talk about this all day because it's a subject that fascinates me. But at the end of the day, you would find out that it all comes back to the same idea. And it is that our FQPE process, like basically all of our processes, is all about people, quality, and confidentiality. Thank you very much.